loved you, girl, like a planet. I could have changed your heart to a star, but it really don't matter at all. No, it really don't matter at all. Life's a gas. Alright, hello there, thrill seekers. I am in Munich, Germany now. Well, that's not all of Munich, Germany, but that's the apartment building where I'm staying here. And I just finished my retreat at Benediktushof, my 2024 retreat, and I'm going back there in 2025. And I still have one more retreat to go on my European tour, which is in Hebden Bridge, starting September 7th and ending September 10th. So if you want information on attending that retreat, if you happen to be in or near Hebden Bridge, England, I can put the email address down here, which I don't know off the top of my head, but you'll be able to read it on the screen once I put it on in post-production, as they say in the industry. So please show up for that, because it'll be loads of boredom, frankly, but kind of fun anyway, in a weird way. So I've been traveling around from town to town, doing what I do, and I've come across a lot of things. There was somebody who sent me an email while I've been out here, and it got me thinking about something, so let me see if I can paraphrase it. I don't want to read the guy's email because I'm always reluctant to end up accidentally embarrassing somebody or making people think that they've been called out or whatever. But this guy was writing me an email about something he's into that he thinks is sort of related to what I do. And it's one of these law of attraction things. And I've talked about the law of attraction here before. But this one involved a kind of trans-channeled being of some sort whose basic message was that we come back to life again and again. Our soul wishes to reincarnate again and again in order to try to find happiness. And the message this trans-channeled guru gave his followers was that it was okay to be, I don't think he used the word greedy, but basically when I hear it, it sounds like greedy. It's okay to be greedy and to want things and to try to get more, to try to be a millionaire. I remember that was part of the thing. Because what you want is happiness, and if you... The universe wants you to be happy, and the soul is searching for happiness and all of this stuff. So it's a great way to be happy is to make lots of money and get lots of stuff. And I don't know why this person thought it was related to what I teach. I think probably the reason is because a lot of these sort of New Age law of attraction people borrow ideas from Buddhism. You know, among other things, they borrow ideas from wherever they can. But Buddhism is one of them, and the idea of reincarnation is one of them. And I did a talk in Germany about reincarnation that I'm going to try to fiddle with and put up one of these days. So you'll probably see that on this channel, because the Buddhist ideas of reincarnation are quite different from the idea that what the soul is searching for is happiness, and we reincarnate in order to find happiness, and then you're just going to find happiness. But it's not, when I was thinking about it, I was thinking it's not entirely different, but there's a further dimension to the thing that the guy's trans-channeled 3,000-year-old guru from whatever land was not putting into the mix. So in a sense, you could say that according to the sort of Buddhist ideas of reincarnation, whether you want to believe them or not is up to you, that one of the things, the reasons we keep getting reborn again and again into the world of birth and death is we're trying to find happiness. The thing that the Buddha discovered was that you can't find happiness here. This is why the first noble truth exists, which is usually phrased as all life is suffering. My my teacher Nishijima Roshi didn't like that phrase because he said, it's not really true that all life is suffering. And he related it to idealistic philosophy. So his interpretation was that you're looking for an ideal something, and the ideal something will never manifest itself because the ideal is an invention you've created in your mind, and the real world isn't like that. And this is something that Buddha himself discovered, which is that he was a very wealthy person, very well-to-do. The stories in the canonical literature about the Buddha's life before he became the Buddha has him enjoying all the riches and all the comforts that money could buy in 5th century BC India, which actually turns out to be quite a lot. They may not have had all the things that we do, all the little baubles and beads and technological marvels like the one I'm using to talk to you right now. They didn't have all that stuff, but they had plenty of stuff to enjoy, and he was definitely enjoying it. But he found that this was shallow and hollow and didn't bring real happiness. And he also tried the other side, because there was a philosophy that was quite popular in India in his day and still quite popular, that if you endure as much pain and kind of misery, they don't really put it in that way, but they deny themselves everything in order to try to find happiness in this sort of spiritual realm, separate from the material, by kind of making the material realm as lacking as possible. I was going to say as bad as possible. Not necessarily bad, but just lacking anything. And he tried that, and he tried physical pain and deliberate self-torture, and that didn't work either. So part of what Buddhism talks about is this middle way. So a path between luxury and comfort and what have you on the one side, and pain and mortification and what have you on the other side. And he tread the middle path. The thing about these kind of movements that teach you greed is good, to paraphrase, what was that movie? Was it Wall Street? It was one of those movies in the 80s. This is clearly what this person was doing, this New Age guru thingy that this person was following, was preaching that greed was good, and greed was going to get you what you wanted, and getting what you wanted was going to make you happy. And what the Buddha found is that getting what you want doesn't necessarily make you happy. It makes you happy in the short term. And I know this in my own life, because I'm a geek who collects records, and here I am let loose in a foreign country where they got different records. They have the European pressing of Electric Ladyland, for example, that I found, I think, 2 years ago on one of my searches for 20 euros. If you find that in the States, they want $300 for it. But it's got a different cover and stuff. Those of you who are geeks about Jimi Hendrix will know what I'm talking about. The rest of you probably don't Google it, because the European cover is actually kind of bad, but it's very rare in the States. So when I go out and I find, let's say, keep on that example, a copy of the European version of Electric Ladyland for just 20 euros instead of $300, I buy it, and I take it home, and then I'm happy. Look, I've acquired a thing. Look how happy I am. And I got that one, I think, 2 years ago, and it's sitting in the shelf with the rest of my records. I think I played it once, just to hear what it sounded like. It's a favorite album of mine, but I've listened to Electric Ladyland so many times that I probably don't need to listen to it that many more times to get the idea. It's a really good record, especially Burning of the Midnight Lamp, if you want to know. That's my favorite one. And what's the one? The weird one about 1983, A Merman I Shall Turn to Be, I think is what it's called. Anyway, 1983, when that album was made in 1967, seemed like the future. And in the future, Jimi Hendrix was going to turn into a merman, I guess a aquatic creature of some kind. Anyway, it's a dumb song, but I really like it. So I get a little bit of happiness. So I get this happiness, this momentary happiness from acquiring the thing. And then the thing becomes another thing in my collection. And as another thing in my collection, it's another thing I got to take care of. It's another thing I got to worry about if, God forbid, there's a fire or something in my house and it gets burned up and I lose my, I only paid 20 euros for it, but it's worth $300 in the States. So, think of it that way. uh, you get this little blip of happiness when you acquire a thing, but the thing always, always, always becomes part of the normal stuff of your life, and it doesn't matter if it's a copy of Electric Ladyland in the European sleeve that's kind of weird looking, uh, eh, or if it's a Mercedes, or if it's a house, or if it's $1 million in the bank, or whatever it is becomes part of your stuff, and that um, that won't make you happy. You can go for it. I'm not going to sit here on the internet telling you don't do that. It's sinful, it's bad, it's against Buddha's wishes or whatever, because it doesn't matter. You can try it. You can try it all you want, and you might end up as rich as Donald Trump, but it's not going to make you happy. And that is the point of what we do. What we do is we sit Zazen, which is this very boring practice that I've been doing a heck of a lot of over the past couple of weeks, where you're just sitting looking at a blank wall for ages and getting bored to death with it. But in doing so, you are looking at your life as it is right now, in the totality of what it is. Now, a lot of us, when we do the practice, we don't notice that. We're distracted by daydreams or whatever. And I talk to a lot of people, and we do what's called dokusan, which people can come to me one at a time and have a little chat with me in the room in the back. And I hear this all the time about how people are struggling with their whatever it is. Sometimes people are very specific about what they're thinking about. Sometimes they're not. But the thing is, no matter what it is that you're caught up in, it's just more thoughts. And your thoughts and ideas will distract you and whatever. But if you can kind of get past that, which does take a little while of practice, you start to see your life as it really is, and it just kind of is there, sort of in front of you. It's the blank wall in front of you is your life. And by seeing it for what it is, it becomes more clear where the path of trying to acquire happiness through acquiring things is going to get you. Because I don't know, this is what happened to me. I could see that I could get all the things I wanted, and I never became that wealthy or anything, but it just wasn't gonna solve the more basic issue of understanding who and what I am and what I should do at this moment. And the thing this guy mentioned, I felt kind of sad, because he's obviously not an idiot. I can tell from the way he writes, but he's being scammed. The you've got somebody here who's got this grift of trance channeling a 3,000-year-old guru from wherever, and telling people what they want to hear. They want an excuse to be greedy, to be kind of selfish. I think this was actually came up in the email the guy sent me, was that selfishness was good, and acquiring things for yourself was good. But I think, well, if the universe wants you to be happy, what does the universe think about all the other people in the world? Does it want them to be happy? Because it seems to me, this kind of acquiring a lot of stuff for yourself doesn't make anybody else happy, and it ultimately doesn't even make you happy. The person who acquires all the things doesn't end up any happier for acquiring them. But like I said, you can try it, if you want to. But there's been plenty of people who've tried it before you, who've discovered the same thing the Buddha did, that it doesn't work. Kurt Cobain is my go-to example of that, or before him, Elvis Presley, people who were super famous, super rich, and had it all, and ended up dying young because they just weren't finding their happiness that way. Howard Hughes, maybe people don't even remember Howard Hughes, but he was a really good example of that. A person who wasted away after trying and acquiring all the things he could acquire and becoming one of the richest men in history. It just doesn't work. So, I feel sad when people come to me with stories like that, especially when they think it has something to do with Buddhism, because there's nothing at all to do with Buddhism. But the way the spiritual marketplace is these days, nobody really knows what Buddhism is, and you can sell just about anything as Buddhism if you want to, or you can sell it as like, this is the teachings of the Buddha. The Buddha taught this. Yeah, go read some Buddhism and see if that's what Buddha actually taught, or just watch a few videos. I got them. I got shows on Jack Halbner. My nemesis Doug's Dharma's got them. You can find a lot of stuff on YouTube that'll tell you, no, that isn't what Buddhism teaches. So anyway, that's the deal. As I said, I still got a retreat coming up next week in Hebden Bridge, England, September 7th through 10th. Here again is the email address where you can write to them for information on how to join. I'm pretty sure it's still not full, so please, if you're at all interested, go see that. And if you want to, you can leave me a donation at the URL that you're seeing below, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. There you will find links to my PayPal and Patreon accounts, and those are my main ways of making a living. And even though I'm getting paid for most of my events in Europe, it covers a little bit more than my travel here, but it's not going to cover my rest of the year. So I really do appreciate those donations. And as always, you don't got to donate if you don't want to. All right, I'll see if I can find a photo of Ziggy, since he's not here with me, to put at the end of the video, since it's sort of traditional for me to put Ziggy at the end of every video. He's fine. I talked to my wife last night on the Instagram. You kids, the Instagram thing lets you talk to people with videos. Anyway, did that, and he looked great. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in about 10 days. All right, we'll see you next time. Have a good time all the time. Bye.